It's the Radius Podcast, recorded live from New York City. Welcome.
Welcome indeed. James de Gorter here on the Radius Podcast. Today we have our very own Chloe Zhu, lead software developer.
Hello.
Chloe, thanks for taking the time to be with us.
Thanks for having me.
Give us a little background on yourself.
Sure. My name's Chloe. I grew up in China and I studied nuclear engineering in my undergraduate, and I came here in US in 2014. I studied applied statistics in Fordham Graduate School.
Right here in Manhattan.
Yes, we're at Lincoln Center campus. It's a very great location.
Yeah, it's very nice over there.
Yeah.
That's great. So applied statistics?
Yes, I studied applied statistics, but in that master program, I also learned a lot of coding, like Python and R. And after I graduated, I got a job in a market research consulting firm in the research and development team. I worked as a developer. So originally, when I was in my program, because data science was a really, really hot topic, and I thought that was my direction, and I learned a lot about like data mining, machine learning, and then after I started working like in this company, I started to build some like data loading or data engineering tools. And then I also got involved some web application development. Then I realized that my true interest lies in software development. Yeah.
So when you were in school, like the big thing at the time was big data, data science, machine learning, all that sort of stuff. You thought, that might be a path that was interesting to you. And when you got into the real world,
yeah, I just feel like software development really suits me a lot better because I really enjoy writing code and building something that you can visualize and help people to make their life easier and do analytics easier, or just visualize data or see this beautiful UI. I think that's something I want to just spend my time doing all the time.
That's great. So where have you done some of the software development in your brief career?
I worked at Analytic Partners. We built some application for analysts to run some models. Yeah, and also some like ETL tools that people can use to consume large scale data and transfer or do cleaning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So then about 2 years ago, you joined Union Realtime. What exactly were you thinking when you left a very established firm like Analytic Partners to join a startup with, not very much of a business model at the time?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a very risky move, but if you really think about it, it's not risky at all, and there's really nothing at risk. So for me at that time, I just graduated not long after I graduated, and I felt like joining a startup would help me a lot with my personal growth. I could gain so much experience because basically at a startup, we're moving very fast with everything. It's a very dynamic environment. I got to work on a ton of projects and get access to like different kind of like cutting edge technology. Everything is like new. And also there's like job variety. Like probably one day I'm writing code and now I'm sitting here doing the podcast. It's very interesting here and it never gets boring. And plus, I knew Adam from my previous job. Adam was my manager at that time. He's a great mentor, and I just felt like working with him, I can learn so much more.
Right. So you felt like the opportunity to just learn and grow as a professional just far outweighed any sort of job security risks at the time. And
yeah, exactly. So I feel like job security is because if you really think about it, like no company can give you the job security except yourself. Like if you are really good at what you're doing, you you don't really need to worry about that. But the first thing is you need to get better.
That's a great point. You mentioned Adam was sort of your mentor at the time. What are sort of like some of the important lessons he has taught you or skills you've learned from him?
I think first of all, I think Adam maintains a very high standard on like whatever we're building, the projects we work on. He would always go extra miles to make the solution better and better. And I think that's what I want, like a goal for myself as well. I want to start my career with the high standard and just also plus Adam has so much experience in software development, like from the architectural standpoint. He's able to just blueprint this whole thing, the whole application.
Just a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. So there are so many aspects that I could learn from. Also, how to structure an application, how to just do agile development. And plus all the like technical knowledges.
Great. Let's switch gears here a little bit and talk a little bit about your perspective on being a software developer. I think many people may think that software development is just writing a string of if statements, but give us a little sense for what it's like day in the life as a software developer.
Okay, sure. I think being a software developer, I mean, writing if statements is a big part of it, but
I knew it.
But not all of it. So I feel like for us, from my perspective, there are a lot of learning and researching on new technologies or like frameworks, languages, or new services, APIs that you want to use. So there's a lot of like reading documentation and trying to figure things out. So I would say research is a big part of it. And once you figure everything out, in the execution part, you start writing code, and then there's a lot of testing back and forth to ensure your product is robust. And I feel like in our company, in the startup like company environment, we also have the chance to like demo what we built to our internal teams and get the first hand feedback to try make things better. And I feel like being a developer, you've got to have this huge passion for the tech world. I myself, I do have this passion, and I'm very excited about like new things people putting out there to make development or developers' life easier. And there are just so many cool new things where I feel like as a developer, we're so lucky to be in today's age because there are just so many amazing tools out there, and the community is huge. People communicate with each other a lot, and you can basically, there are so many resources. You can just learn from the latest.
So software development is basically like whatever your task is, you're just trying to solve a problem. And a big piece of it is like knowing which tools to use.
Exactly. Yes.
And you're sort of like putting a puzzle together.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes I do feel like a detective, like trying to figure things out. Or sometimes it's like a user's bug and you're trying to figure out, you got to just put the puzzles together and know what the root cause is. Yeah.
And so a big piece of that is really understanding like what tools are out there and staying on top of them. And what you're saying is that the landscape is just evolving so rapidly that there's always new tools to be, sort of adding to your tool belt, so to speak.
Yes, exactly. And a lot of the programming languages or frameworks that we're using today are not, are like invented very recently. It's not like 10 years ago. It's like 3 years ago, 5 years ago, or 1 year ago. So you can just see how rapidly the change is going, and it's just exciting all the time.
So as lead software developer, you're starting to build out the team here as we grow. What sort of teammates are you looking to add? What sort of qualities do you look for as you're building out your team?
I think the biggest quality I'm looking for is like the passionate for the tech world, like being passionate for the tech world. Because once you have this passion, you're just so eager to learn new things and have this desire to build something on your own using the knowledge that you learn. This is a process that requires hard work, obviously, but I feel like if you have this passion, it's not that tiring at all for you to do that. It's just like an enjoyment, and I feel like also what we're looking for is like hardworking people, because this is a very dynamic environment and things are moving fast. We always have new projects on our roadmap. So yeah, we'd be able to move very fast and learn new things fast and build robust application within limited time.
Yes, so the nature of the job is that you're always just trying to figure out the next thing, and you just sort of have to have a passion for wanting to figure it out. There's no like process or roadmap for most of this stuff. It's really just that that innate excitement to want to figure it out.
Yeah, like every morning I feel like if I know I'm gonna build something that's really gonna make a difference for the clients or for our internal team, I think it kind of drives me.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So that's interesting perspective on the day in the life of a software developer, more specifically being a woman in software development. Can you give us some thoughts on what that's like? I know there's, historically been very underrepresented class.
Yeah. So definitely in the tech industry, female is definitely underrepresented. I once saw stats like in the tech industry, only 17% of the workers are female. So I was kind of surprised by that number, because I feel like in today's world, there's nothing that should be preventing women from achieving a career in software development or computer science, or more in general, just technology industry. There are so many resources out there, and I feel like now there's this trend going on, like people or companies are trying to make an effort to help more women who wants to get into this industry more involved. Like there are bootcamp programs for girls, and also companies are having all kinds of programs to just providing more information and opportunities for girls who wants to get into the software development. And we also did this Whitney internship back in 2018. It was a partnership with Cornell Tech that we have like a 2-week internship for just female graduates, female college student from this university to come in and work on a project for 2 weeks. We had 8 girls came, and they did an amazing job. They built an Alexa skill app. I think that's just great programs.
So you think generally the tech landscape is starting to evolve, and there's a lot of support out there to help underrepresented women in the field.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
Participate in that. You see other companies participating, and
yes,
it's been beneficial for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's beneficial for everyone, not just for the students who were joining or participating, but also for the companies. You get more diversity on your team, and diversity brings more like diversified perspective on whatever you are building. I think that's a great thing in general, and I feel like girls can do an amazing job on software development, just as well as boys can do. So personally, as a female developer, I don't see any difference.
Right.
Like the gender makes.
Yeah, well, we can certainly attest to that for sure. Specifically, some of the stuff that you really excel at are the ability to move quickly, to be agile, to really iterate very quickly. Give us some thoughts on sort of like that skill set specifically. Where did you learn that? How important is that to any team, but more specifically a tech startup?
Yeah, I think it's very important, like your time management skill, not just for software developers, but like probably for every role. Like multitasking. I mean, I'm not a big fan of multitasking, but sometimes you have to do it. But there are techniques to do that. There are definitely strategies. Like if I'm writing a code for a job to run for a long time, and I have other things on my plate, that I would probably write the job first and for it to start running and then do other things. So there's always this kind of strategy when you really think about your time as your resource and how you want to allocate them to things on your to-do list. Yeah.
The other aspect that you've highlighted in the past is just the ability to put your head down and stay focused.
Yeah. I think it's just so important to just sit down and really dive in, especially as a software developer, because you basically need to be fully concentrated to be able to figure things out. Or sometimes when you're debugging, you don't want to be you don't want to be interrupted. I feel like we're lucky to be in the team like us, because we don't have a lot of meetings going on. I saw people talking about on Twitter, like they finally have the time to sit down to write some code. Then the alert came in to say that you have a meeting in 15 minutes. That's just very stressful, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. Luckily, we don't have that problem because we're a very small team and we're doing like agile development. I feel like in our company's culture, we're respecting the engineers' time and developers' time, and we're trying to make things work for everyone and block out time for people to really concentrate and work on things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all sort of need that time to get in the weeds and
definitely
and think. But certainly in your shoes, it's probably more important. You did talk about the software development team also needing to be agile. I heard you guys talk about that coming with, a bit of a cost as well. I know we've had like 3 or 4 database migrations, which have been extremely miserable watching from the outside. But it's really, I guess, making those decisions really is our competitive advantage and also allows us to be quicker, faster for the long run.
Yeah. So sometimes it seems like there's a cost to like start things over or rebuild things, or like migrating a database. But from the long run, it's just I think it actually reduces the risk of like rebuilding the whole thing, because like you're just like maintaining for example, a car. You're maintaining it parts by parts. You don't have to you don't want to wait until this car is completely broken and replace a new one, because that's like more cost. But for us, we try to keep our application architecture like more scaled. We're like using microservices, so everything is like kind of break down. And even if we need to rebuild something, it's not like great effort. We don't have to rebuild the whole thing. So I think one thing is you just need to architecture it very well, and then rebuilding sometimes may not be a bad thing.
Mentally, how difficult is it to throw something away that you've worked on for weeks, months, or whatever, and start over, knowing there's just a better way? You have to do it for the long run. Is that a difficult hurdle to overcome, or that's just the name of the game?
Not really. I feel like, in my personal opinion, I feel excited to just push things down. And if we have a much better solution or a much cleaner, organized solution, it's exciting to make your things perfect and better, even if it means to put everything like back to zero. But yeah, I feel like from a developer standpoint, you want to keep things clean, organized, and structural. So rebuilding sometimes makes me feel this is the right thing to do and right way to go. It's not difficult at all.
It's an opportunity to sort of clean house and get rid of the excess baggage.
Exactly. Yeah. So you just want this result to be great.
Remove some of the technical debt.
Yeah.
All right. So what is on the horizon for Chloe? What do you see? What do you see in the future? What are you looking to accomplish over the next several years?
Over the next several years, I think I would just keep learning and keep on top of the new technologies and probably gain like wider spectrum of the skill set, like AI, for example. There are like Alexa and like self-driving cars now. Like AI is built in a lot of softwares now to make people's life easier. And I think that's a very nice direction for me to head into, or just to know more and learn more about. And also, I feel like along the way, on like being a developer, or like learning, I got so many help from so many people, and always like those resources or like people mentoring me. And I sort of want to hopefully give back to this community, and by like helping other people to get into this industry, or help them learn things and just in an easier way. That's
great. We'll leave it on that note. Chloe, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast. That was a lot of fun.
You've been listening to the Radius Podcast. Don't miss a beat. Subscribe today and stay up to date on self-storage. And come and hang out with us at radiusplus.com. We'd love to hear from you.